The day is finally here. Sony has finally given us the price tag and the release date for the PlayStation 5, and they've also given us quite a few game announcements to go along with it. Hey everyone, this is Logan59XP here, and today we're going to be talking mostly about the PlayStation 5 Showcase event that happened recently. We will also be talking quickly about the Nintendo Partner Showcase that happened yesterday as well, maybe a couple other things as well, but we'll see what happens. So let's go ahead and jump right into this without any further delay. Let's go ahead, I'm going to go down a list right here of everything that was showcased in the PlayStation 5 event, and then we will talk about my thoughts on the PlayStation 5's position in the industry, with everything we know and just kind of the whole thing with, because basically we know basically everything about both consoles now as far as the launch is concerned. So let's go ahead and start right off with a really big first announcement. Final Fantasy 16 is returning to a more traditional style actually, as it's going to be featuring a more medieval fantasy setting, which we haven't seen in quite some time. Most of the Final Fantasy games since Final Fantasy, well at least the mainline entries, since Final Fantasy 7 have had a more modern take, a more modern look in terms of the art style and the setting. I mean, obviously it's still fantasy, but you know what I mean, right? Like it's more modern. It's not like, oh, medieval fantasy, orcs and trolls and whatever, it's not like that, like World of Warcraft or something like that. But the older Final Fantasy games did have that kind of setting. And this game looks to be returning to a more medieval style setting, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to be. I'm sure a lot of the old school fans definitely appreciate that. I'm not sure how the modern fans feel about it, but from what I've seen, most people are actually looking forward to this game, though. Probably because it's a more traditional return to form, so to speak. Well, quote, return to form. We'll have to see how that goes. Also, they talk about crystals in the trailer, which apparently is something that's related to older entries. Again, I'm not super big on Final Fantasy, so I don't know all that stuff, but what I do know is that it's Final Fantasy 16, which is obviously a huge deal, especially because we haven't actually had a brand new Final Fantasy mainline announcement since 2006, when Final Fantasy 15 was originally announced as Final Fantasy Versus 13 and didn't come out until 10 years later on newer hardware. So that's definitely a big deal. Also, the game is officially a timed exclusive for PlayStation 5. I don't know if it's going to be... It is announced for PC as well, but I don't know if the PC release is going to be after PlayStation or at the same time. There's no confirmation of a Series X version yet as far as I'm aware of, but it is at the very least coming to PS5 and PC, with PS5 being, no matter what, the console is going to be coming out, or the platform is going to be coming out first on. Next up, Miles Morales, the game that I'm looking forward to the most when it comes to PS5 and, well, PS4, because this wasn't in the presentation, but they did confirm after the fact that, yes, Spider-Man Miles Morales is coming to not only PS5, but also PS4 as well. So, to all those people that were all like, oh, it's just Spider-Man DLC, it's just Spider-Man DLC, why isn't it on the PS4, it's just Spider-Man DLC? Well, it's on the PS4, so you got what you wanted. In some ways, it's a bit of a shame because it means that it's less of a reason to get a PS5 day one. But obviously, to the 100 million plus PS4 owners that are out there, including myself, it means, hey, we can get the game without having to spend $500 on a new console. Although I still want to get a PS5 day one, but if I can't for whatever reason, then I can still get Miles Morales. And they did confirm that the PS4 version of Miles Morales will have a free upgrade to PS5. So even if you only get the PS4 version when it comes out, and you get a PS5 later in, say, 2021, don't worry, you will get a free upgrade. Also, they officially confirmed this rumor that was around for a while of Miles Morales coming with a remaster of the original game. They did officially confirm that as well. Again, not in the presentation, but in a blog post after the fact. However, there is a small catch. If you want the Spider-Man PS4 remaster for PS5 that has 60 FPS and ray tracing and all that stuff, you gotta buy the Miles Morales Ultimate Edition, which granted is not that much more than the regular one. It's only like $20 more. And it also comes with some extra skins and stuff like that for the PS4 remaster as well. But it's definitely something that I'm sure for some people is going to be a little annoying. I have heard, this is not confirmed, but I have heard, emphasis on heard, not confirmed, heard, that if you already own Spider-Man PS4 with all the DLC, then you will get a free upgrade to that new PS5 version of Spider-Man PS4. Supposedly. I don't know that. Don't quote me. I've just heard from people that that's going to be the case, but we'll have to see how that pans out. But yeah, so Spider-Man Miles Morales, the trailer they showed was set mostly on the, I believe it's the Manhattan Bridge. They got Miles flying all around, beating up bad guys, doing your Spider-Man stuff. They had the classic moment from Homecoming, and I'm sure earlier Spider-Man stuff as well, where he's like holding, the thing together with the web and stuff. So yeah, that trailer, it was really cool. And again, they didn't reveal it in the actual presentation itself, but yeah, being on PS4, I think most people are actually pretty happy with that, because to a lot of people, they just couldn't understand why it was only on PS5 when it didn't look like it needed to be on PS5 only or whatever. But hey, that's on PS4 and PS5, and if you can't get the PS5 day one, don't worry, get the game on PS4 and you'll get a free upgrade. So no matter what, you're pretty much in the clear, unless you want the free upgrade from Spider-Man PS4 to Spider-Man PS4 Remastered, which may or may not exist, but we'll have to see what happens there. But overall, solid showing, and being on the PS4, I think ultimately is a good move. Even though I know that means that's one less exclusive that the console is going to have at launch, I think overall it's a good idea, especially when, for a lot of people, the game is just, quote, Spider-Man DLC, so it makes sense for it to be on the PS4 as well. But of course, when we get the actual full sequel, Spider-Man 2, in like a couple of years, that will most certainly be PS5 only, fully taking advantage of the PS5 hardware. Next up, this is a game that was leaked a long time ago, like 2018, I think. We saw a bunch of screenshots from it, and we didn't really hear anything about it for a long time, but the long-rumored and anticipated Harry Potter AAA RPG has finally been announced from Warner Bros. In this presentation. It's coming out in 2021. I mean, I'm not really a Harry Potter guy that much, but the game looks pretty solid, from what I can tell at least. It's coming out in 2021. It's going to be on both next-gen, PC, and last-gen. Yes, I said last-gen because, whether you like it or not, the current gen is about to become the last generation. As weird as that might sound to some people, but you'll get used to it. Yeah, this game was leaked back in like 2018. There was a bunch of screenshots and everything, and it was like, whoa, this game looks pretty neat. And then we didn't hear anything about it, but hey, it's announced now. It's called Hogwarts Legacy. Funny enough, Warner Bros. Actually confirmed that J.K. Rowling is not involved with the game, really, so if you don't like J.K., which of course a lot of people don't these days, and you don't like the changes that she has made to the Harry Potter universe, like retroactively changing characters because reasons, you will be satisfied in that respect. But, so yeah, Hogwarts Legacy, a game that was long overdue to be announced, similar to how also the other Warner Bros. Game that took forever to be announced, which was the Suicide Squad game that they announced at DC Fandom. That was, like, rumored for so long. Yeah, so, hey, Warner Bros. Is finally announcing stuff. Cool. Next one is something that I guess is kind of obligatory, because, of course, there's a relationship between Activision and Sony that they've had ever since 2015, when Sony bought the DLC first exclusivity rights from Xbox and Microsoft, or they just signed a deal with Activision, so they got it instead of Microsoft. Of course, we saw some new footage from Black Ops Cold War. It's officially called the Nowhere Left to Run teaser. It showcases the return of some classic characters from earlier games like Alex Mason and Frank Woods. Insert, what do the numbers mean, Mason? What do they mean here? Because, of course. They mostly showed campaign footage, which, okay. Which, looked cool. We saw the return of some classic kill streaks. Well, kill streaks in the multiplayer. They're not kill streaks in the campaign, of course, like the RCXD and stuff. So, yeah, I'm not sure what time place this takes place in the story, because, of course, it takes place during the Cold War, but the first Black Ops took place in the Cold War, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But point is, Black Ops Cold War, they got a new trailer for the campaign. Looked good, I guess. Showed some classic characters. And they did confirm that there's going to be a multiplayer alpha that starts actually today. So right now, if you go on the PlayStation Store, you don't have to have a pre-order or anything, as far as I'm aware of. You can just go on the PlayStation Store, anyone, and you can download the Black Ops Cold War multiplayer alpha right now. It's going to be active from September 18th to September 20th, so this weekend. So chances are, if you're listening to this, you can go play it right now. So if you want, I'll probably go ahead and I'll probably do that later today, actually. I might even stream it as well, but we'll see how that goes. Next up, Resident Evil 8. We got a new trailer for this. This was, of course, first announced in the previous showcase in June. I don't really have much to say on it because I don't really know much about Resident Evil in terms of like lore or anything like that. But looks good, I guess. They announced they're going to be showing even more of the game at Tokyo Game Show. So if you're looking forward to Resident Evil 8, you will not have to wait that long in order to get it. So that's pretty solid right there. So we got Resident Evil 8 that's going to be at Tokyo Game Show, as well as Age of Calamity. So that's definitely going to be a solid Tokyo Game Show right there. Especially because Tokyo Game Show, at least traditionally for Nintendo, doesn't really have much because Nintendo doesn't really do anything at Tokyo Game Show, except for now when they're going to be showing a bunch of new stuff for Age of Calamity over there. But that's a whole other thing for another day. We'll probably talk about that once that happens too, in a couple weeks. Anyways, next game, Deathloop. Oh yeah, by the way, I don't think there was a release date for Resident Evil 8. No, there was already a release date announced beforehand. I think it was 2021. I believe Resident Evil 8 was 2021 for next gen only, but don't quote me on that. Anyways, Deathloop. This is the game from Bethesda and what's their name? Arcane Studios, the team behind Dishonored and Prey. This game has always kind of looked interesting to me because it's got like this Cold War like aesthetic to it. I don't know if that's the way you want to call it, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Like it kind of reminds me a bit of like TF2 as well. TF2 as in like Team Fortress 2, not Titanfall 2. Both great games, of course, but you know what I mean. I don't have much to say about this game personally, not a game that really interests me all that much, but there's definitely some uniqueness going on there. It was delayed, however. It was supposed to come out, I believe it was supposed to come out at launch, or like at the very least at the end of 2020, but I believe it's been delayed to 2021, but don't quote me on that. Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition is up next. This is something I was actually spoiled about because spoiled on, quote unquote, because I haven't said this yet, I don't think, but I wasn't able to watch this presentation live because of scheduling reasons. So when I watched it after the fact, several hours later, and of course all of like the YouTube channels had a bunch of the trailers up, but I tried not to look at them. But literally as I was watching the PlayStation 5 event after the fact, on my phone I saw Xbox Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition announcement trailer. I was like, okay, so that's in this presentation. But yeah, Devil May Cry 5, which only came out last year and of course came out to critical acclaim. It's going to be getting an enhanced version on PS5 and Series X. It's going to be supporting 120 FPS, as well as higher resolutions and all that stuff. And it's going to be including Virgil, which even though I don't know much about Devil May Cry personally, I know Virgil is kind of like, it's kind of like how there's Ryu and Ken and Simon and Richter, there's the main character and then there's like the other guy, or like Phoenix Wright to Edgeworth, like the other guy, the what's the word, darn it. There's a more proper name for these kind of characters. I don't remember. Ken's not like an enemy or anything. But you got my point, right? Like the other main character, basically. The other main character, I guess, is my main point. So yeah, Virgil, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if he's an anti-hero or whatever, because again, I haven't played any of the Devil May Cry games or anything like that. But point is, that's obviously a big deal for a lot of people. Apparently, he hasn't been in any of the games since the first one, supposedly. But again, I don't know. Don't quote me on that. However, there is one small downside. You will not be getting a free upgrade if you already own the original game. So you have to pay the full price, which is going to be, I believe, $50. I think it's 40 or 50. I forget what price it is. It's either 40 or $50 to get Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. However, even though you're not going to get a free upgrade if you already own the game on PS4 or Xbox One, you will be getting Virgil as a DLC in those original versions at a later date. So you're not going to be left behind in terms of content at the very least. Or at the very least, you're going to get Virgil. There might be other additions as well. I'm not sure. I didn't pay attention to too much. But yeah, so Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. Not a huge announcement in the grand scheme of things, but definitely a nice one to have. And it's nice that Capcom's going to be porting back, so to speak, additions from the game into the previous version as well. Okay, next up, Oddworld Soulstorm. This is a game I don't really have much to say about because it's not a game I really know much about, but apparently it's been in development for quite some time. And it's a franchise that I know about because of Digital Foundry and whatnot, but I don't really know much about it. What I do know is that the game definitely looks very odd, that's for sure. I don't have much to say about it, but, it's definitely a weird-looking game. I don't think we have a release date for it yet, but they did show more stuff on it. So if you were looking forward to that game, I'm sure you were probably pretty happy with it. Next up is probably the biggest, weirdest. It was probably the weirdest announcement. So, you know how Bug Snacks was a big deal when it was announced because of how weird it was? And what was it? And there's another game, I'm forgetting what it was. There was another game that was announced at a different event that was also really weird. Oh yeah, Pokemon Smile, when that was announced in the Pokemon Presents thing from a while ago, how that was a weird thing. Well, this is probably the weirdest one, at least to me, because it's came out completely out of nowhere. I think I just said that wrong. But anyways, Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Yes, they're doing another Five Nights at Freddy's, but this one is actually going to be in 3D, from what I can tell, and it's going to be, this might sound familiar, a timed exclusive on PS5. Again, I don't know if it's going to be on PS5 first and PC second, or if it's going to be on PS5 and PC first, then Xbox. But the point is, it's at the very least a console exclusive, one way or another. And this is definitely a really weird this is a really weird game to include, I feel. I mean, yeah, they had those kind of weird games, what was it called? Goodbye Volcano High or whatever, that weird game that everyone was making fun of. Not in a Bug Snacks haha way, in a oh man, this game looks so bad kind of way, or whatever it was. I didn't really pay attention to it that much, but yeah, this game definitely is just a weird announcement, I think, to put in here, because it's Five Nights at Freddy's hasn't been that big since 2015. But it's also still a brand recognized name, so I kind of understand why it's in here. But it's just kind of weird, why reveal it in this presentation? But sure, I guess. I don't know if it's gonna be coming out on PS4 as well. As far as I'm aware of, it's just PS5 and PC, and presumably Series X at a later date as well. But yeah, so if you're still a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, you got this. And I'm sure Matt Pat has already got 5 videos lined up on it as well, so yeah. Demon's Souls. This game is this was one of the most hyped announcements for a lot of people when it was announced back in June. It's a game that a lot of people have wanted a remake for a very long time, and they got it, and it looked pretty awesome. There were some changes to the art style that people were kind of skeptical on, but for the most part, people were really looking forward to it. And there's been rumors recently that the game was going to be a launch title like Miles Morales, and they did confirm that yes, Demon's Souls is indeed a launch title. And yes, it is indeed a PS5 exclusive, no PS4 version. Although there was apparently some mess up where they showed a supposed PC version was going to be coming, but then they removed it from a trailer. So people were like, yeah, sure, Sony, it's totally going to be PS5 exclusive. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Obviously, they've put out games like Horizon recently on PC, and they've already talked about how they want to expand to PC more, which is kind of, I'm not sure what that's going to mean, though. I'm not sure if that's going to be like we're going to start putting all of our games on PC, or if that's just going to be we're going to put some of them on PC. Maybe they figure Demon's Souls is a game that's going to be on PC. I can kind of understand why that one would be on PC, because you can get all the other Souls games on PC too. Because here's the thing, Demon's Souls is owned by Sony. The IP is owned by Sony, but the game was made by From Software, and it's in their series, even though the IP is owned by Sony. So in a way, it makes sense to put on PC. I've even heard talk that it will be on the Series X as well. Now, I can't see that happening. There's no way it's going to be on the Series X. There's no way. PC, maybe, but there's no way it's going to be on the Series X and the S. There's no way. Especially when it has the PlayStation logo literally on the box. Then again, you can get Minecraft on PS4 and it has the Xbox logo on the back. But that's different because, one, Minecraft is on everything. And second, because Microsoft has been doing the whole we're on multiple platforms thing for a while now. Sony has only recently started doing it. Horizon I can understand, because Horizon's a game that's several years old now. And they obviously wanted to put it on PC so they could get people to buy a PS5 for the sequel, even though the sequel is going to be on PS4 as well. Yeah, that's another announcement, by the way, that wasn't in this presentation. But yes, Horizon Forbidden West is going to be on PS4 as well, which is really interesting and weird. I can understand Miles Morales, but why Horizon? I don't know. I kind of thought that one was going to be next gen only, but oh well. Anyways, yeah, Demon's Souls launch game looks pretty solid. A lot of people are looking forward to it. Next up is a very infamous game, but at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, it's a very popular game still. And that, of course, is Fortnite. They announced that Fortnite will be coming to PS5 day one. However, the previously announced transition to Unreal Engine 5 and therefore all the next-gen improvements will not be happening until 2021. So it's basically just going to be the PS4 version, but 4K, I guess. Like native 4K, or maybe with 120. I'm not sure if it'll have 120 hertz or not, because several other games, like for example, Devil May Cry, they confirmed that PS5 is going to be getting a 120 hertz mode. Call of Duty has 120 hertz mode as well. So I'm not sure if Fortnite will or not, but I can't imagine that it won't, especially when like people on PC like turn down the settings all the time, so you get so the game looks like kind of trash, but you get a lot of frames. But anyways, whatever. My point is there's no confirmation if Fortnite is going to support 120 FPS or not, but I can't imagine that it won't, especially when people stream it all the time at low settings because they want the frame rate and everything. Anyways, point is, whether you like it or not, Fortnite, PS5, and there's going to be next-gen improvements coming in 2021. Moving on, PlayStation Plus Collection. And when this was announced, people were kind of confused. They weren't really sure what it was, but basically it's kind of, but not really. It's like 75% basically Sony's version of Game Pass. Except unlike Game Pass, where it's its own subscription, it's just included with PlayStation Plus. There's no additional tier or anything, or no additional subscription like PlayStation Now is. It's literally just a part of PlayStation Plus. You have PlayStation Plus, you get access to every game that's in here. And it's going to be at launch, and basically, PlayStation Plus Collection is basically a ton of their PS4 exclusives that you just get automatically for being a PlayStation Plus member on PS5. So if you skipped the PS4 somehow, or there was a bunch of games that you missed out on, or you're going to be going from Xbox One to PS5, this is a great way to catch up on a lot of the games that came out this generation. We don't have a whole list yet, but they showed Uncharted 4, Until Dawn, Detroit Become Human, God of War, the 2018 one, of course, and also a couple other games as well as Persona 5. The original Persona 5, however, not Royal. So I've seen a lot of people disappointed that it's not Royal, but at the same time, it's like, Royal just came out, like, not that long ago. So, like, I get it. But like, a bunch of other games are in there. However, new games like The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, those do not have... those are not going to be in the collection as far as we know. I also, there's a reason for this, of course, but also, Spider-Man is not in there, like the PS4 one. Probably because, again, they're making a remaster, so why would they put it in there? But, yeah, so this definitely looks really cool. A good chunk of the games that they have in the PlayStation Plus collection, at least at launch, I already have, but it's still really cool that they're doing it, and I'm glad that PlayStation is taking at least some initiative to make a competitor to Game Pass, because Game Pass is one of the big advantages that Microsoft has right now in terms of the games aspect of it. And finally, well, it's not the last thing, but it's like the last really, well, okay, it's not the last thing. Whatever, let's just talk about it. The price and the release date was one of the last things they showed, and to the surprise of basically no one, the price tag is basically what we all expected. It is indeed what I've been saying for months. $4.99 for the regular disc version and $3.99 for the discless digital version. Did I say $4.99? $3.99 is what I meant to say if I said $4.99. Yeah, $4.99 for disc, $3.99 for digital. And the console is going to be launching in the US, Canada, Mexico, South Korea, Japan, and Australia and New Zealand on November 12th. And they'll be releasing in everywhere else, so that means like Europe and Africa and the Middle East and the rest of Asia, not counting China, etc. On November 19th, and they'll be coming to China sometime later, probably in 2021. So that means November 10th for Series X and Series S everywhere, November 12th for basically North America and Japan and South Korea and Australia, New Zealand. November 19th for everywhere else, except for China, and then China's going to be probably 2021. So we officially know the release dates, and that means the consoles are only effectively 2 days apart. Last generation, I believe the PS5 came out a week or two earlier, but this time the Xbox is actually going to be launching 2 days earlier for the West, in Japan and whatnot, and then like a week for everyone else. Except unless you're in China or something like that. But then again, if you're in China, you're probably not listening to this video right now because it's blocked. Because YouTube's blocked in China. Then again, you might have a VPN. I don't know. If you listen to this and you're from China, then make a comment down below. Yeah, right. Like anyone from China watches me. Anyways. One thing, however, that has kind of been annoying for people is to coincide with this price and release date information, Sony just kind of threw up pre-orders without any prior notice, which goes against a previous promise they made a while ago where they said, we're gonna make it so that you guys know in advance when the PS5 is gonna be up for pre-order, and they didn't do that, so people got really pissed about that. And then Microsoft kind of fired back with a tweet, apparently, like a tweet that was like, don't worry guys, you're gonna know exactly when and when the Series X and Series S are gonna be available. And everyone's like, shots fired and everything. But anyways, so yeah, so chances are right now you probably won't be able to pre-order a PS5. They're sold out everywhere, but technically they are up for pre-order. And yeah, so it's coming out November 12th for like, you know, for me and probably for you. Unless you're in Europe. If you're in Europe, sorry, you gotta wait a week. Unless you want to import one, but I doubt people are gonna do that. Unless you're really hardcore. But anyways, long story short, November 12th, November 19th, $399 and $499 for the digital and the regular. Boom. However, we're not done just yet, because Sony had one more announcement. They decided to pull the classic Iwata era. We have one more thing to show you today. Please take a look. And they basically did what Nintendo did with Prime 4, where they just showed a logo, but obviously still got a lot of hype, just like Prime 4 did. And they announced that, yes, everyone knew it was going to be coming because there was no reason it wasn't going to. New God of War for PS5 was officially announced. They just kind of showed a little logo, and it's officially called God of War Ragnarok, insert Thor joke here. And it is coming out on PlayStation 5 in 2021. We do not know if it is coming out on the PlayStation 4 as well, like Horizon is. It might. I'm not sure. It depends. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. I won't be shocked if it comes out on PS4 as well, but again, that kind of goes back to the whole thing of like, okay, here's the whole thing with the whole of them releasing games on PS4. Like, there's nothing wrong, technically speaking, with releasing their games on PS4. Kind of like how there's technically nothing wrong with releasing Halo Infinite on Xbox One. The problem is, but the thing with Microsoft is they were being very upfront with the whole, we're going to do cross-generation and everything. But Sony was very hard and adamant on, we believe in generations. We believe that we've got to take full advantage of the hardware, like all that stuff, right? We're not doing cross-gen. We're not doing cross-gen. We're not doing cross-gen. And then you're literally doing cross-gen for 2 of your big titles. Oh yeah, Sackboy, by the way, is also cross-generation as well, but everyone saw that from a mile away, so it's not really a big deal. But Miles Morales, PS4, that's not inherently that big of a shocker. But like Horizon, that's like, that was supposed to be one of the big titles for PS5, and it's going to be one of the big titles for PS5 in 2021, but now you can get it on PS4. So that kind of takes the wind out of the game's sails a little bit, because it's like well, then again, we'll have to see how the PS4 version compares, but considering that it's an exclusive, I can't imagine that the PS4 version is going to be that much worse. It's probably still going to look and run really well. But yeah, it's definitely something that's been controversial as heck. Is the whole like, why should I buy a PS5? It's just like the Xbox. Why should I buy a PS5 if I can get the games on PS4? So yeah, we don't have any confirmation on whether God of War is PS5 only or not. We're gonna probably find out when they show the next trailer, whenever that happens. But anyways, without all of that, that is the September PlayStation 5 presentation. We got several big game announcements like Final Fantasy 16, God of War Ragnarok, updates on existing games like Demon's Souls and whatnot, Miles Morales. We know that several of the games are coming to PS4, like Miles Morales and Horizon, even though they didn't show Horizon in the presentation, but that was in a blog post after the fact. So overall, how would what I think of the presentation? Even though I didn't watch it live, and that kind of took some of the excitement out of it, not watching it live like I did for the first presentation in June, but it was pretty good. It was shorter than the last one, and it obviously didn't have as many big first-party announcements because they already made a bunch of them last time, but it was pretty good. It's pretty good. The only problem with it is that they left key information out, like the whole, oh, we're going to put Miles Morales and Horizon on PS4. Oh yeah, and also pre-orders are going up right now, so you better rush. Like, so it wasn't a perfect presentation, but it followed in the style of the last one, and it was mostly pretty solid. So yeah, PS5 versus Series X or whatever. So now both consoles are kind of in the interesting predicament because everyone was making fun of Microsoft for not having an exclusive title because Halo was delayed, even though I think it was a good thing that Halo was delayed. I think most people will agree that it's a good thing it was delayed, but it kind of took the wind out of the Series X and now Series S's sales. Because it's like, hey, your big title is now delayed, and what else do you have? Like, what, Gears Tactics launching on console? Like, there's not a big title launching, well, at least not from a major IP that's launching day one on the Xbox consoles. But now, Sony also doesn't have this either, because Spider-Man, which was going to be their big launch title, is now on PS4 as well. Although Demon's Souls is coming to PS5 exclusively, that doesn't have a PS4 version. So there is that, but it's a remake, and at the same time, it's kind of like with Xenoblade, where it has a very dedicated fan base, but it's not super big. Obviously, the Souls series is very popular, similar to how Xenoblade is very popular these days. But it's not going to sell as well, and it's not going to be as big of an incentive as a new Spider-Man game would be, even if it's a quote spin-off / DLC or whatever. But obviously, Demon's Souls is still going to be a big success. A lot of people are looking forward to it. It's obviously going to be a big deal. It's a big game. It's just not as big as Spider-Man, But anyways, so yeah. I guess with that being said, let's kind of go ahead and let's move on real quick and quickly discuss the Nintendo Partner Showcase. So, this showcase, let's get some context here. So, as I'm sure we all know, the partner showcases have not exactly been received very well, and that's putting it extremely lightly. But the main reason why they weren't received that well is not necessarily what was in them, but more so the fact that people were super starved for Nintendo info. And because of that, people disliked the hell out of those presentations solely because it wasn't a real direct. We want Nintendo info. But, as we all also know, we got our Nintendo info not that long ago. A couple weeks ago, we got the surprise Mario 35th Anniversary Direct that revealed the long-rumored 3D All-Stars, as well as 3D World coming to Switch, among other things. And we got, a week later, the completely, out-of-nowhere reveal of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which is a Breath of the Wild prequel that's in the style of Persona 5 Scramble in the sense that it's a real game. It's not just a spin-off. It's like a real game with real mechanics and a real story. It's a game that matters, basically. It's not just a Warriors game. It's like Scramble, where whereas Scramble was the sequel to Persona 5. In this case, it's the opposite. This game is the prequel, a real, actual prequel, it's not just a loose, it's a real prequel that's gonna showcase the the war that happened 100 years ago and all that stuff. And that's obviously something I'm looking very much forward to, although I'm kind of worried in a way, not because of the game, but just because, the PS5 is coming out on November 12th, and the game and Age of Calamity is coming out on November 20th. Money, that's going to be a challenge right there for everything, but we'll figure that out later. But anyways, the point is we got those announcements. We got big Mario and Zelda announcements. So basically everyone was pretty much good. And because of that, this partner showcase, even before it started, because they streamed this one, by the way. Traditionally, they've never streamed the partner showcases. They've only ever either announced them on Twitter and they just upload the video at a certain date, or they just happened randomly, like the mini direct from 2018, with no build up or anything. Well, I don't know why I'm forgetting what to say for some reason. What was I gonna say? Darn it! Ah! Hold on, I'm gonna pause the video real quick and regain my train of thought. Okay, sorry, I'm back here. I may edit that out. I'm not sure. I'll probably just leave it in because I don't really feel like editing this right now. Because that's the purpose of these discussions. I basically just record them and upload them for the most part. But anyways, actually, so what I meant to say was, yeah. So the previous presentations were disliked to death because people didn't have Nintendo info, but we got our Nintendo info for both Mario and Zelda. So even before this partner presentation started, if you looked at the like to dislike rate, I can't talk right now. I'm trying to talk too fast. I'm trying to blaze through this. I shouldn't be doing that, but I don't want the video to be an hour long. That's why I'm trying to. So that's why I'm kind of blazing through this. So if I've been talking really fast and you can't really understand me that well, then I'm sorry about that. But yeah, even before the presentation started, you could look at the like to dislike ratio and see that it was way better than the previous two. Whereas the previous two were like 50k versus like 69k, like to dislike or something like that. Maybe it was even worse than that. I don't know. I haven't looked in a while. This time it was like 6k versus 1.4k or 13k versus 1.4k. I forget which one it was. I think it was 13k versus 1.4k before it even started. So that was a very clear indication that people weren't disliking it because they got their info. So they weren't mad. They weren't oh where's the direct, because they're like, oh, we got Mario and Zelda, so we're good. Pretty much. So people weren't mad about the presentation even before it started. But the thing that was good though is that the presentation was actually pretty good. It was definitely the best one so far. It didn't have Scramble, of course, but I wasn't really expecting it to be in there. I feel like at this point it really is a 2021 game for the West, sadly. But we got Age of Calamity to make up for that, so you know, it kind of all works out in the end, I guess. But yeah, so the big announcements in the partner showcase were the first ones, which were 2 Monster Hunter games, Monster Hunter Rise, and there's also going to be a sequel to Monster Hunter Stories, Monster Hunter Stories 2, I believe it's called Legacy of Ruin, I want to say. I don't know, don't quote me on that. But yeah, so Monster Hunter Rise, which is a brand new entry, it's going to be exclusive to the Switch, it's coming out in March 2021, all that stuff. Monster Hunter Stories 2, that's also coming out in, I don't know, it's coming out in summer 2021. There's going to be crossover content between the 2 Monster Hunter games, and as you can probably imagine, especially since Nintendo owners didn't get their hands on Monster Hunter World when it came out in 2018, I should say, not 2019, 2018. A lot of people are, of course, really excited, although there are some people that are on PS4 and whatnot that are like, hey, why is this game only on the Switch? But for the most part, people seem to be really excited for both Rise and Stories 2, and those are definitely the big announcements of this presentation. Afterwards, we got a kind of random thing, which is like they're doing a sequel to Fitness Boxing. If you don't know what that is, it's a game that came out in 2018. It was published by Nintendo, but it was actually made by someone else. I forget who exactly, but probably they're making a sequel to it. There's been memes about it because, haha, one of the characters is called Karen. So, you know, people had a field day with that. Anyways, yeah, that's coming out, I guess. You know, sure, whatever. Desagia, I don't know much about this franchise. I don't know much about this franchise. But what I do know is that they haven't really done much with it in the last couple of years, except for just porting the older games, I think. So there's a new game coming, so that's neat. It's going to be in 3D too, whereas the previous ones were like 2D. Empire of Sin, I don't know, I think this is a new announcement, just period, because this is also coming to the other consoles, or at least I saw trailers upload for them, for the other consoles, on the other channels. But yeah, this is a thing, and you know, it's apparently set in the 1920s Prohibition era, so yeah, I'm sure everyone, when they saw it, they were like, oh, looks like LA Noire, because, you know, every game that's set in that time frame-ish is LA Noire, apparently. But I think LA Noire takes place in the 40s, though. But anyways, I don't know anything about LA Noire. I've never even played the game before, even though it's on like everything now. But anyways, yeah, Empire of Sin, it's coming to multiple consoles, but you know, kind of looks a bit interesting, but nothing I'd personally be all that interested in myself. Sniper Elite 4 is coming to the Switch. Didn't see that coming. Sure, it's neat, I guess. They showed some more footage of the new game coming from Yuji Naka, who is one of the original creators of Sonic. He's working on at Square Enix. That was revealed at the Xbox pre-show a little while ago, called Balan's Wonderworld, I think is what it's called. They showed some footage of the Switch version, and you could tell it was the Switch version because it was like 720p and it had frame drops and stuff. I'm sure it'll be smoothed out when the game eventually comes out, but you could tell it was the Switch version. And they showed Joy-Con functionality, and we have like 50, you know, different costumes and stuff. So that's neat. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that because, of course, it's basically it's not Knights, but like it's kind of like it, and it's of course from the team that made Knights. So yeah. Then Rune Factor 5. I thought this was like an RPG series, but apparently it's kind of... I'm not going to say it's like Harvest Moon, because just because a game has farming in it, that automatically means it's Harvest Moon. I'm not saying it's Harvest Moon, but like it kind of looks like it. And they apparently have a whole dating mechanic and everything, and you can get married, so you know people are going to have a field day with that. But yeah, Rune Factor 5, neat, I guess. It seems like it's kind of a staple of like directs to have a Harvest Moon-ish kind of game. I remember back in 2015, Story of Seasons, which I believe is actually the official successor to Harvest Moon. I remember that was a prominent showcase in one of the early 2015 directs. But anyways, so yeah, and then we have our last, their last big announcement, which was Ori The Will of the Wisps, the long anticipated and very critically received sequel to the also critically received original game from 2015 that came out on Xbox and PC earlier this year. It is out right now on the Switch eShop. You can download it right now. There's going to be a physical version coming that will include physical versions of both games, as well as I believe there's going to be a standalone version as well, but there's a collector's edition. You can get that as both games physically for like $150, I think. Which at least that's what I heard, and of course people are like, $150, that's pretty steep. It does include both games though, but you know. The point is, you can get it right now on the eShop. So if you are big into Ori, then I'm sure you've been waiting for the sequel on Switch, or maybe you already have played the game on Xbox, but you want to play it on the go. Regardless, Ori is obviously a big deal. Not as big of a deal as Monster Hunter, but definitely something I think a lot of people are looking forward to. So yeah, that is the Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase, which was... It was like half of a Monster Hunter Direct, but that was fine. In fact, they even uploaded the Monster Hunter... There was, actually, no, speaking of which, actually, no. First, they just had the Monster Hunter Rise and Stories 2 trailers, and they moved on to everything else. But then at the very end of the Direct, they had a Monster Hunter Direct, which they uploaded separately that went into the games a bit more. So, yeah. That was the Partner Showcase slash Monster Hunter Direct. Yeah, the Monster Hunter Direct, I'm not going to really talk about it. They basically just showed more of the games and stuff like that. Not anything I'm going to really get into. But yeah, so that was the Partner Showcase, and that was definitely the best one so far. Helped very much by the fact that people weren't pissed about it because they had their Nintendo info. So, yeah, Nintendo, this is how you should do a Partner Showcase. Do them like this from now on. And keep people actually give people information on the Nintendo games so they won't dislike your videos to death. But anyways, so yeah, the Partner Showcase is actually pretty solid. And yeah, that PlayStation event was also pretty solid. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I have to really say here. So yeah, what do you guys think about the PlayStation event and the Partner Showcase? Both, either you decide. You excited for you know what game? You getting a PS5 at launch? You getting any of these Monster Hunter games? You got 3D All-Stars, because 3D All-Stars, just came out today. You got 3D All-Stars. You enjoying that? or do you not like it because 64 is still 4x3 or whatever? Yeah, well, you let me know anything about any of this stuff down in the comments below if you've made it this far. And with that being said, this is Logan589XP, and I will see you guys next time.